function of, the heat and the pads coming on a little bit? Is that what you see usually?
Yeah, probably. That was a really hot day. We probably had our biggest practice today of the most we wanted to do. Obviously, that was our longest practice. So, guys were getting after it and working.
What's Kyle's message when he pulls the team together like that?
A lot of different things, but number one, he loves the effort. Have to play smart. Some guys were getting scraps out there. So he loves the intensity, and we just have to learn how to play. I think in the final drive there, Kyle was doing more move the ball and really trying to simulate more what a game is like in and out and doing all those things right.
Brian, the team brought in a lot of new pieces from last year to this year. Just in this first portion of camp, what kind of improvement have you seen, just from what you've seen on tape to now?
Well, and again, with my first year here,
Yeah.
what I can compare is what the offseason looked like to what now looks like. And I can really see an improvement across the board with every individual player, from the techniques and the fundamentals that they were doing in the offseason to now. We've made some strides. And so that goes along to all the team units we're working with too. And you're hoping that happens because, again, OTAs are spread out a little bit, the offseason is really spread out, and all of a sudden you start putting practices together, and you're really hoping to hone all those things in. So, but I can't compare from offseason now, we've greatly improved.
What sort of coaching techniques or drills and stuff have you really tried to hone in on and bring to this special teams unit?
Really, it's all of them. What we try to do is really just break down a football play. And we always talk about whether you're on offense or defense, there's certain fundamentals of football that you have to do. You have to block, you have to tackle. And really, in special teams, we use that all over the field. So we try to break that down into smaller areas where you're not running 50 yards to do all those things. We kind of start at the beginning of the play, whatever it's a punt or a punt return, even a kickoff return, and we work on that fundamental. And same thing, it's footwork, it's tackling, it's head up, it's balance, it's all those things. And then we'll work it at the beginning, and then we'll try and work it at the end, where we're taking out the running of 40, 50 yards and trying to get more reps.
And a place kicker around as long as Robbie Gold. How much coaching are you doing, and how much listening are you doing?
A little of both, and it's about us working out. And more importantly to me, it's how he feels in his health. And it's more important for him to feel fresh going into the first game of the year than it is anything that we want to work out throughout the week. So it's just constant communication. And I'm learning him, and I want to help him, and so I listen probably more than I coach, to be honest.
Have there been any particular players that caught your attention since training camp started?
A lot, really, and I could list most of them, but Burks and Odom are the really guys that stand out with just their consistency. Huff has done a great job, and I try not to name because there's a lot of guys I want to mention, but really what I'm trying to do, we're repping so many guys right now that I'm just trying to learn all of their strengths, and I'm trying to learn where we can place them and what position we can put them to help them look their best and to help our team look the best. So that's kind of in flow as we keep going.
All right, thank you.
It's kind of a little shot in the dark, but Bernard Holman was getting some run with the first team defense today. Not a guy that most people know too much about. I assume you have to make the team playing on special teams too. Anyway, has he stood out to you in that regard at all?
He's done a great job. And the way we evaluate those outside guys, either the gunners or the jammers, if they have a 10-minute individual period when we're doing punt return. And so they get all that rep there. And what we're trying to do is get as many reps as we can for all of them for when they get in the game and on a preseason game. So that's where they can show their best. So all of those guys, every rep they get, everything they do counts in our evaluation. And ultimately, we're just trying to set them up for success when they get in the game.
Is it your experience that the guys that show up in reps and practice are the same guys that show up in games, or are there guys that just sort of take it to another level in a game?
Yeah, I think it kind of comes in all ways, in all forms, but mostly the most consistent guys in practice end up performing consistently in a game. And I even talked to, especially our rookies yesterday, is not to get frustrated, because they can only control how many reps they get. And really, truthfully, they could go into a game and they might not get a rep because we might only punt once, or we might only get one punt return. So they're building their resume, what they do in practice, and then ultimately when they get a chance in the game, and that's not promised to them, you know, so they just control what they control. And so I'm trying just to get them to everything they do be consistent with the same effort in practice, in the meetings, and eventually in the games.
When you get a group of guys that you haven't worked with before, how much are you doing like trial and error on where guys fit versus maybe going off of what you've seen on tape? Or, I mean, do you try to mix and match and take looks at different guys in this time?
Yeah, I'm constantly learning our players, constantly learning how they learn best, how I can teach them best, what their strengths are on the field. And so I'm constantly trying to pay attention to all of that. And it comes in a lot of different forms. And then our job as coaches, I think, is to fit them in the best place for them to be successful. And so that's a big roster right now. And so we're training everybody now in the same way. And then as we get closer and closer, and as we get to 53, and ultimately as every game changes in terms of where we place guys against who they're going against. And so it's kind of broad right now that we'll narrow down as we go.
All right, appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.